Hi and welcome. My name is Jeremy Meldrum. I am the Senior Solutions Architect at Venafi, and today I'd like to talk about managing F5s using the Venafi platform. Now, managing F5s with the Venafi platform is quite easy. It's fast and easy to set up. It's really easy to maintain, which you'll see. And you can do automated rotation of keys, both individually and in mass or in bulk. It's very secure and it's scalable, and it's a single platform to manage all F5 keys and certificates. Now, it's really only a three-step process to automate the F5 key rotation. The first step here is to create a device object, and really all that device object does is just represents an F5 appliance, and there's really only two required items for that, and one is an IP or DNS name, and the other is a credential. And the second option, or the second step, is to do a key and certificate discovery, and that's using the REST APIs, and then be able to provision out the new key and certificate to the VIP. Now, how does the F5 discovery work? Well, the F5 discovery works using the REST and the SOAP APIs to discover all of the virtual servers and the associated certificates to those VIPs. It also works directly with version 11.5 and above. And the reason for that is that F5 did not implement the REST APIs until version 11.5. Now, to access those REST APIs, it requires an F5 credential that has the administrator role. And all current SSL profile attributes that pertain to certificates are captured during that discovery process. And really, an accurate inventory can be maintained just by rerunning the F5 discovery at any time. Now, how does the provisioning work? So we've discovered everything. How does the provisioning work? Well, the provisioning works using existing SOAP APIs. And one of the advantages of using the existing SOAP APIs is that we can now work with version 10.2 and above, because the SOAP APIs were implemented well before 11.5 ever came out. It really requires little upfront work, which you'll see during the live demo, and it also supports bulk actions such as renewing and provisioning of certificates. You can also set up workflow and approvals, which allow you to, align with your maintenance windows. And it supports multiple concurrent connections. So if you have a large number of certificates that you're rotating, the multiple concurrent connection the multiple concurrent connections can significantly reduce the amount of time it takes for that rotation process to occur. And then Venafi can create the profile during the provisioning process if one doesn't already exist. Now, how do we handle pairs and failover? Well, Venafi can detect if the VIPs are located on an active or standby node, and then you can provision to either the active or the standby nodes, or just ignore failover state altogether and just provision to that specific appliance. We can also initiate the config sync directly from the Venafi solution. So let's go ahead and dive right into the product. And like I mentioned, it's a three-step process, so we're just going to quickly go through that. So first, we have two different consoles. One is our administration console, and the other is a self-service console. Either console could actually manage your F5s and other drivers and devices. However, today we're just focusing on F5, and we're going to log into the administration portal and show you how that works. So I go ahead and log in to the administration portal. And after logging into the administration portal, you can see on the left-hand side a bunch of folders. And these folders allow you to anchor permissions and rights and things of that nature, and notifications for expirations and things of that nature. I'm going to go ahead and expand the demo folder and then come in here where the F5 applications team is, and you can see there's two different folders. One is certificates and the other is devices and applications. If we expand the certificates, you can see there's no certificates in there right now. This is where we're going to place our certificates after we have done the discovery process on our F5. Right here under the devices and applications, you can see that there's this device object, and this device object, all it does is just represent your F5 appliance. And there's two required fields. One is your host address, okay, that could be DNS or IP, and then your device credential, and this credential just has to have the administrator role. And that's step one. So step one is very quick and simple and painless and easy to do. Step two is we come over to this discovery section, and inside this discovery section, you right click on the discovery, you click add, and you click onboard discovery. And I've already created one here for us, and we'll go through each of the settings. It's fairly easy to fill out. First, you choose your application type. You can see there's two different applications type. One is for F5, the other is for NetScalers right now. We plan to add more, but those are the current ones we have. Now, devices to scan. I go ahead and I just select that F5 appliance or that device object that I created. Now, in my past life here at Venafi, I was a senior technical lead in the support organization, and during that I was a primary support engineer for a couple of our very large customers, and one of those had 83 F5 appliances and 25,000 certificates across those appliances. And so here you can control click or shift click if you have multiple device objects, or you could come in here and just select a specific folder, and that's what they did. They just selected this folder and it ran through this discovery process on all 83 F5 appliances. Now, if there are certificates found, where do we want to place them? Okay, I selected this certificates folder that I previously mentioned when we saw that folder structure, and also when we find certificates, do we want to import certificates from server profiles, client profiles, or both? Also, do we want to extract private keys whenever possible? And at that point, you just hit save. All right, we're going to come back to the summary tab and just hit run. And after clicking this run, you see it says import requested. I'm going to click on this general tab, and the reason for that is I'm going to show you what happens under the hood. These are the logs. These are logs that pertain specifically to this operation that we're doing. And here for the event, you can see that the discovery has been initiated by Jeremy Meldrum. And if we just go ahead and hit the refresh, you can see that the process has started. It tells you what engine the process started on. And if we just go ahead and click refresh, wow, that was very fast. I currently have 15 VIPs on my F5. And so here you can see the certificate says new certificate was created. And this application, all that application object does is represent your VIP. Okay, and so it ran through, and within a couple, maybe, I don't know, 10, 15 seconds, we were able to discover all of our certificates and all of our VIPs on the F5. So I'm going to go back over here to the policy, and over here we're going to go into that folder structure that we saw before, and we'll go to the F5 applications team. And if I expand this last time there was nothing here, but if we expand it now, you notice that now we have 15 certificates. Okay, and these were all certificates that were found on that specific appliance. Now, if we expand the devices and applications and we go through this process, you see the device object, but if I expand the device object, you'll notice that we have 15 different VIPs that were found, and here's the VIP name and the profile name right here. Okay, so let's just choose one of these. We'll choose the VS_Venafi. And with the VS_Venafi, you can see the associated certificate. You can also, under here, you can see the contacts and the provers, whoever they are. Okay, and obviously I have those set up, user 1 and user 2 in there, and you can integrate these directly with Active Directory and use users and groups. And then down here, you can go ahead and see we're going over port 443 to do that provisioning process. And from that discovery process, you can see that we found the actual name of the certain key file that's currently out on the Venafi server, or sorry, on the F5 server, and also its associated chain file. And there are other settings that are in between here, for example, installing the chain. When I decide to do a rotation of this certificate and auto provision this, do I want to install the chain along with it? Maybe I'm going from SHA-1 to SHA-2, and so I've got a new chain and I want that new chain. Also, I can bundle those certificates. Do I want the intermediate roots along with the entity in the same file, or do I want those in separate files? Because the F5 actually supports both. You can use FIPS if you want. You can overwrite the certain key. You can delete the previous certain key. And then once you get into your HA settings, we can provision to both standby, we can provision to active, or standalone, or we can just ignore the failover state altogether. We start getting into the SSL profile settings, and you can see my profile name and my profile type. You can see I have client or server in here, but it detected that it was a client profile. Now you may ask why the parent SSL profile is blank. The reason for that is that if it's client_SSL, which is the default profile, we don't fill it out. But if it were a non-default profile, this would be filled out automatically, or like I like to say, automagically, during that discovery process. Now the SSL partition is filled out. The SNI server name would be filled out if I had SNI set up and ready to go. And then virtual server settings all get filled out. There's some advanced settings here. Most people don't use them, but all these others automatically get filled out. So I didn't have to actually touch anything here. We're going to click on this certificate, right, which should take me directly to the other certificate, which is right here, vsvenify.venify.com. Now what I'd like to do is look at the serial number, and we've got an 034C. And if we come out here, let me just refresh the page and make sure we got the right certificate. And if we come out here, we just want to make sure the certificate matches. And right here, 034C, you can see that that certificate matches successfully. So let's just go ahead and hit close. And we're going to just quickly rotate the certificate. So now that we have a certificate from that discovery process, before I rotate that certificate, I just want to mention here under the settings, okay, you can see down here the CA template. And what the CA template is when I request a certificate, what CA do I want to request this from? Because Venafi can front end that certificate authority, and you can have any certificate authority of your choice. Anything from Symantec, DigiCert, Komodo, Entrust, you name it, or from a Microsoft certificate authority. And obviously in my environment, I've chose my Microsoft Web Server 2-year certificate, and that's the template that I'm actually using here. So if we go back to the Summary tab, I'm going to go ahead and click Renew. When I hit renew on this, it'll say queued for renewal, and what it's actually doing now is, whoops, I clicked the wrong button. Let me just quickly go back to my certificate. VS Venify, where are we? Right here. And right here, you'll go ahead and see it. Now it says OK, and it says it's installing the certificate. So if we just click on, well, I'm going to click on the VIP and just take a look at this, and maybe we'll catch some of the items that it's doing during the installation. All right, let me click back here. I clicked the wrong refresh button by accident. Sorry about that. Let me just get back here real quick. And during this, we can see, all right, well, during my process, it actually says, okay, I think we're good to go. And also, there's a validation. Remember that validation check? This is the refresh that I meant to push. I actually clicked F5 on my browser, but I meant to push here. And here you can see that there's a validation process that happens. Now with this validation process, what happens under the covers is there's a TLS handshake, and we check the VIP to make sure it's up and running, and that the certificate and the intermediate root matches the ones in Venafi. And if they are successful, we go ahead and place a success. If they are not, we go ahead and tell you why. You know, maybe a previous cert, or maybe something happened here. But this says successful, and works out actually really nice. So if we come out here to our site, let's just go ahead and hit refresh, and let's just check the certificate again and just make sure that it changed. So here you see it says 0387 for the serial number, right? So if we go look in Venafi, we're just going to scroll down on the certificate, and right down here you get an 0387. So you can see that the serial numbers match and the rotation happened, and it was very quick. Now, one of the questions you may have is, okay, well, that was great. You did that for a single certificate, but how would I do this for, let's say, my whole F5, or for a small, a number, maybe 100 or 15, or some number other than 1? I would just go ahead and click on that folder, for my team, and then I'd click right up here on this View tab. And this View tab allows me to see all of the certificates that are underneath that specific folder. So if I just kind of expand this, you can actually see that the managed DN for each and every one of these, if I had these a little bit smaller, are each of those certificates that are here on this left-hand side. So I'm just going to shrink this down just a little bit, and we're just going to rotate these. Okay, so I could click here and rotate all of them at the same time, or I could just click on a couple and rotate a couple. But in this instance, we want to rotate all of them, okay, and see how we're going to do. So let's just go ahead. We're going to say renew. All right, and this immediately shows all the different certificates all queued up. And if we just hit this refresh here, instead of hitting F5 like I did, you just hit the refresh in the top right hand corner, you can see that it's starting to go through that process of getting a new key and CSR and submitting it to the CA. All right, and then let's just go ahead. I want to add a new column, and it's called processing stage. Okay, and now you can see these at stage 800. It means it's starting to do the install process. Okay, you can see that almost all 15 certificates have now been renewed. We just got 3 or 4 left, but if we click on this Applications tab, now we can see what the applications look like, which are those VIPs, right? So you can see some are associating the SSL profile, some are running the config save, and let's just add in. You can see that you can change all the different columns, if you decided you wanted to. So application type, we'll just take that one off for now. And down here, I want to put on the TLS validation process. Okay, and you'll notice here, we're just going to go ahead and click refresh, and you notice these are starting to go through. Now, these successes on the right-hand side mean that we're doing that TLS handshake that I just talked about. We're making sure the VIP is up and running properly. I mean, think about this. I mean, if you had 300 300 VIPs and you had to rotate those certificates, how long would it take you to go manually check each and every one of those 300 VIPs to make sure that it has the right cert and the right chain? Quite a while, right? Well, just while this is just finishing up, you can see that I've done 15. Oh, we're done. So we did all 15 VIPs. It only took us just a couple of minutes. I could rotate these from SHA-1 to SHA-2. I could rotate these from a Microsoft Certificate Authority to a Symantec Certificate Authority, or from Symantec to DigiCert. Venafi is CA agnostic and allows you to scale quickly with your F5s. Thank you very much. This is the end of our F5 demonstration, and I hope you have a great day.